Here's the Die Hard franchise ranked. So there's 5 movies. Let's get started. At number 5, the worst Die Hard movie, and just a terrible movie all around, is A Good Day to Die Hard. Now, I liked the chase near the beginning. That's pretty cool about John McClane chasing Jack McClane. I kind of liked that. And I liked it that the movie was only an hour and a half, because 2.5 hours of this boring movie would have been way too much. But even with that said, it's very slow. I think the action is very generic. No action sequences really stand out in the franchise. How does McClane's kid hate John? I don't get that. John doesn't even feel like himself. And he just feels tired. He even smacks someone. I don't think the setting stands out, and the villain isn't memorable. And it's a twist reveal, and there's no back and forth chemistry with John McClane and the villain. And the villain is Komarov, so he's just a bad villain. So this is all around a bad movie. Number 4 is Die Hard 2. Now, this movie isn't bad. It's just it just feels uninspired. But the action is pretty good. The snowmobile chase is good. The escalator floor shootout is good. The suitcase shootout is fun. I think the villains are actually decently memorable. They're for sure dangerous, and they make an impact. They can make planes explode or crash, and there are stakes with that, because there's a bunch of people that could die from the sky falling to the ground, so I like that. But, on the other hand, it's very slow after the suitcase shoot-out sequence. It's too much like Die Hard 1. There's terrorists. John McClane goes into an elevator. Police hate John, so it's a little formulaic. And it's not really clear what the villains really want. Other than that, I think this movie is actually decently watchable. It's the least likely Die Hard movie after the 5th one that I would watch, but I do think it is a decent watch. Like, I wouldn't mind watching it. Number 3 is Die Hard with a Vengeance. It's a completely different setting from the first 2 movies, so I like that. The movie is really funny. Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson have great chemistry, and they just make up with the comedy. That's really funny. New York City is a great setting. You get subways, you get traffic all over the road, so I like the setting in this movie. Simon Gruber, I think, is a very good villain. He stands out. And the movie is just very tense. It's just a very tense movie, which I like. A few negatives with it. There's not really that many action sequences or action fight sequences, even though it's very tense with the Simon Says games. And I don't think the ending is that good. Like, Simon just stares at John so that John has like a minute or two to look for something, shoot at it, aim at it, and then finally kill Simon. So that was not good. And you know what? Another negative on A Good Day to Die Hard is that Komarov has the exact same death as Hans Gruber, just falls backwards, except he gets chopped up into a helicopter, so it's not even that creative. But other than that, back to Die Hard with Vengeance. Other than those 2 negatives, I think this movie is actually pretty good, so I actually really like it. Number 2 is the original Die Hard. This movie is good. I do enjoy it, but I've never loved it. The positives on the film are, I actually do kind of like that it starts off calm before it gets ramped up with the action. John McClane is a good hero, so I really enjoyed that. He tries to do anything he can to save people's lives. Hans Gruber is a great villain. He's He's cunning, he's smart, and he really planned it out. So I really like the villain. And the setting for an action movie, I really like, because, like I've said before, action over here, or shootouts over here can be heard down here, or you know, shootout, but the villains can quickly get to John or wherever they are very quickly, and it's not like all around a city or town, so like something happens over here, but they're over here, you know. So I actually like the setting of the original Die Hard. The two negatives that kind of really stand out, one is just, like, it takes a while to get to the action. It's like 20-25 minutes before the action really starts up, which is a bit too long for me, even though the action is actually really good. And the only other negative in it is that I feel like the hose should have burned when John ties it around himself, jumps off the building, and the entire roof is just on fire. I don't know if the fire was maybe higher than the hose, or if the hose was, like, in the fire because it was down here. I don't know. I feel like that hose should have burned so that John would have died. But other than that, this is a good movie. It's just not really a movie that I love. But coming in at number 1 is Live Free or Die Hard. The fourth movie. Again, not another movie. This isn't a movie that I love. None of the movies in this franchise are any that I love. But this one gives me, for the most part, what I want in a Die Hard movie. First off, the negatives. The setting, I don't think stands out. I think it's actually a pretty weak setting compared to Die Hard 1 through 3. And Thomas has the guns to John's head, but then for whatever reason he puts it at John's heart, and then John quickly grabs the gun and shoots himself and Thomas. So either way, if Thomas would have just shot the gun, he would have shot himself anyway, so it doesn't really make sense. Other than that, the chemistry with John and Matt is very good and comedic. I think there's some pretty funny lines in here. The action starts off 15 minutes into the movie, which is great. And that probably is the defining factor of, like, hey, action starts off 10 to 15 minutes into the movie instead of 20 minutes. The apartment shootout, I really like. The escape from the helicopter and the cars in the tunnel, I really like that. So there's some great action in the movie, so I love the action in the movie. The villains, Thomas, I think, is very dangerous. He can control an entire city, and the whole scope of, like, this entire city is in danger. That was really cool. It raises the stakes above the original Die Hard, where it's just confined to one building. But now an entire city is in danger, so I really like that. I thought it really ramped up the action, so Live Free or Die Hard comes out as my number 1 favorite Die Hard movie. Thanks for watching.